people.
Good morning, sir.
Gene Lacrosse, 3951 Northeast 22nd Avenue, Ocala. I'm on my EPA kick again. All the stuff you were talking about is all EPA related, rules and regulations. When my parents moved down here in the 70s, I started coming down. That's when it started real. I've seen people behind the organization outside. Mainly they're from the UN. They started invading the property owners. Well, I bought a piece of property out there, Westford Acres South, 160th, as a retirement. By the time I got ready to retire, and I retired, I went and started a building. They said, no, all these impact fees, you gotta pay $90 for a well and something like that. That's what we're going through now. It's amazing to me that people don't see that. We have a foreign entity that's running our country, messing up your job, and you have to have, and it costs the taxpayers money to set all these meetings up and everything. So it's just amazing to me that none of y'all see this. So that's all I wanted to talk about on that. But this is all related to the EPA, the environmentalists, and of course, Florida wanted to be the bright spot of the United States because the whole United States now is under the control of them. Hopefully, Trump can get them out because he's already cut their fund 3 times already. So hopefully we can get them to stop the spraying. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crow. Yeah, Jeannie. Come on, Mr. Smith.
Jeannie Rickman, Assistant County Administrator of Public Services. The cell tower bills that were referenced, both Senate Bill 596 is going to be heard tomorrow afternoon on the Senate side in the Senate Rules Committee. House Bill 687 is going to be heard tomorrow morning in the House Commerce Committee. So,
Okay.
ready?
All right, well, Mr.
Good
Munoz,
morning,
I was way
Commissioners.
off. There you go. There are the numbers. Mr. Smith.
Hagan Smith, 4420B Southwest 80th Avenue, Ocala. Been listening for quite a number of years now, coming to these meetings at every chance I can. And I keep hearing about, again, reiterated this morning, Marion County's broke. I find it incredible that we have a budget of, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, about $1.6 billion a year. And that there's no accountability.
In Marion County?
Yes.
We're
Oh,
about
it's
half a
about
billion.
550 million.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, I stand corrected. But anyhow, there's numbers that's coming from David Ellspermann that he invests over $150 million every night overnight. And yet we can't do things that needs to be done in Marion County for the people that need it. It is the people, after all, that pay the money. And the money has been used for many ways that we have found that is not legal or lawful. And there's a major difference between those two words. I'm concerned with good government. I'm concerned with a government that cares about its people, not that creates all these different levels that use the money that we pay in the overtaxation to run to Tallahassee and set up corporations that does not represent the people, nor can we attend their meetings or have any say as to who runs them. Yet we've got our own Marion County Commissioner who is the president of that unlawful corporation. We have already elected representatives to go to Tallahassee and do these things. We don't need the local government servants to run over there and do them. We didn't vote for that, and we have no say in it. And the people have that right. We also have a Florida Constitution that requires the local servants to do certain things like provide oaths and bonds. They're totally ignored. Yet, you then pass an ordinance to give yourself immunity after you've already entered the office in violation of that Constitution. We now have a Constitutional Review Commission that's required by the Florida Constitution every 20 years. More government employee or servant appointees. People have no part in it, and you want us to obey it. I, for one, will tell you I will not obey whatever comes out of the Florida Constitution, as these review commissions do, because we have no say in it. It's their interest they're representing, not the interest of the people. They're worried about their paychecks and their retirements. Someone said in the construction field that I used to work in, it's payday, sundown, and retirement. Do as little as you can while you're in that position, but wait for those things to happen. I myself believe that when you enter public service, you serve one term and then you get out. You don't stay in there as a career politician. And we should not allow that. The original Florida Constitution did not allow it. You had to take a term off before you could run again. And only statesmen would enter those offices for the purposes of having good government. I'll reiterate again, I've met most of the people in Marion County who serve as a public servant, and they're nice people. But they don't understand what's really going on. They don't understand what is required of them. They're not taught the U.S. Constitution, nor are they taught the Florida Constitution. Marion County doesn't have a constitution. I have asked more than once for a copy of the county code. The reason I asked for it was because in Pennsylvania, where I used to live, they had a county code. So that was, in essence, their constitution, but they didn't follow it either. And it's because of a lack of education of the people of this great country. Not only Florida, but every state. And it's time that we relearn it. It's time that the people have an opportunity, as I have offered to do, to teach the Constitution to people for free, to use the people's building right here that was denied. We're denied the use of our parks and our buildings without paying a fee to use them, but we paid to build them. So why are we being charged a fee to use it? I can understand an organized manner of signing up for it so that you don't have two people at the same place at the same time. But to charge us a fee for it? And to have people running around basically doing nothing that are supposedly taking care of those parks? I watch them. I go purposely and watch to see what these people are doing. My time's up. I'll yield, but I'll be back with another.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
just
Smith.
want to say this in closing. We, the people, met on April 15th, and we declared that there is a need for an oversight committee. We're currently creating that. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Chair, I'll just say one thing.
All right.
You know what?
No, you're good.
The commissioner that Mr. Smith was referencing that sits as the president of the Florida Association of Counties is myself. And I will tell you right now, I'm very proud of the hard work that we've done on behalf of all of Florida's 67 counties. It has benefited Marion County as well. So you have your opinion, I have mine.
And that's the group that's trying to help with these Senate bills and House bills that are going through, so.
I just
To
want to say,
benefit Marion County.
I've went up tons of times as a private citizen on my own dime to testify on things that benefit Marion County, but also to fight things like Common Core. You know, and I go up as a citizen, so if I go up as a county commissioner, you know, that's not what you elected me to do. I go up as a private citizen because I have every right that each person in this room has to go to Tallahassee and address your legislators. I would encourage you to go to Tallahassee and address their legislators and let them know what you think, because they need to know, because the legislators in Tallahassee need to be educated. And if you know something more than they do, just go up there and be kind to them, be gentle, but let them know and educate them on the subject, so maybe that they will make a better choice, because they're people, and as Christians, we're supposed to pray for those in authority over us. Part of it is going up there and being a friend to them and trying to help them understand the issue maybe a little better. I'd like to also just publicly thank Commissioner Bryant for her leadership at FAC, because she has been leading 67 counties to do that. And I mean, it's been effective.
Enough said. All right, Sadie Graybell. She's not here?
Yes.
All right.
My name is Sadie Graybill, 8519 Southeast 158th Street.
So you're not Richard Graybell?
Not today.
Okay. Well, I'll mark him off then.
Really, what I was going to do, I was going to say something to y'all because Sadie is getting so, and we do pray and do things for y'all. She is getting so that I can come up here and help her. But the other reason I'm doing it too is because since our governor and those other people met in Tallahassee on this past Wednesday, I noticed that they had numerous people speaking up for each other. So, and I was going to say something to y'all last time, but it was a little bit nerve-wracking for you people last time for us to have said something with Sadie.
So you got to give your name and address for the record. I thought you knew. Yeah.
Yes, right, but I'll do that with her next time. She's a little bit worn out right now from this, so I will be Richard Grayhill,
All right.
8519 Southeast 158th Street. I do like to throw a monkey wrench in things every once in a while, and I spoke to you some about Ahab and Jezebel. I'd like to continue with that thought some for today, and then read what I read to the group in Tallahassee. I'd like to make this comment to you as well as to myself. A lot of people don't realize how God disciplines us. Most people really don't understand the scriptures about how local governments, counties, states, and the nation is disciplined by God. If you really study in your Bible, you'll notice that there's not any of those countries that's going to be left during that time when we come out there to the final judgment. You people, when leaders, and as well as ourselves here in the county, when you make decisions as
That's $20.
when you make decisions that are good, that's pleasing to God, there's special blessings and things that go along with it. A friend of mine by the name of George Mason, I don't know if y'all know George Mason or not, he was a good Virginia person that helped to put together the constitutions and helped to keep the people from moving out from Philadelphia when they were trying to get all this put together. And he brought this thought to the attention of those that was putting together our declaration during that period of time. He was getting ready to leave and actually go back to his Virginia farm because they were having a lot of issues in getting things done. Also, George Mason had another situation. In the state of Virginia at that time, there were a lot of people that did not want to have slaves. And he had slaves, but he did not want to have them, but the state law required him to keep his slaves and not release them. And he spoke to George Washington about this, and he said, listen, he said, I'm going to tell you something. As long as we make poor policies and do not do the right things, God cannot bless us because that'll be hypocritical. So I throw that thought out to you from a person that came back to when they were putting our original Constitution together for this great nation. Look in Exodus 18:21, it shows you the divisions, and I'll give you Proverbs 14:34, and also Proverbs 29:2 for the other parts. By Richard Grayhill to the Florida Constitution at the CRC. Florida Constitution 1838, 1845, 1861, 65, 1885, and 1968. Not any of them are really legal for this reason. Number one, they already have powers over them that's already been set up, and to revise something and go against the natural law of God, the Bible, the Magna Carta, 1639 Connecticut Constitution, things that have set up our natural law for this land, and to take and put it in like that and alter these things without the people. The Florida Constitution of 1838 of Article 1, Section 1 states as follows, that all political powers inherent in the people and all free governments are founded on their authority and established for their benefit, and therefore they have at all times an inalienable and indivisible right to alter or abolish their form of government in such manner as they shall deem expedient. That 1838, 1861, and 1865 constitutions calls us people and free men. Several times it further declares the following, that to guard against transgressions upon the rights of people, we declare that everything in this article is accepted out of the general powers of government and shall forever remain inviolate, and that all laws contrary thereto and to the following provisions shall be void. In other words, you don't get to change it unless it's constitutional. If it's not constitutional, you're going against it. And anything that would be displeasing to God definitely would not be accepted. Then in 1868, the Florida Constitution was radically broken in upon by those who desires power to be lodged in the bar union and public servants. Public servants always seek to extend their powers over the people and to lessen their rights. History has proven this statement to be true many times. This is why the Founding Fathers provided that the Constitution can only be created, revised, or amended by the delegates chosen by the mighty hand of the people alone. That's we the people. That's not people that's assigned by the governor and others. The Constitution of 1865 did not require a complete overhaul, only an amendment to protect the rights of the black people to be the same as white people. That was the main thing that was wrong with that Constitution at that time. The reconstruction of the Florida Constitution fundamentally changed the de jure power of the people to the corporate form where the government unlawfully captured we the people, thereby changing our status from free men and women to citizens and subjects. I fear that you will do more of the same because of these transgressions and your loyalties to the bar and those who chose you. You are not loyal to we the people. There wasn't anyone there representing us, we the people. Everyone was in an organization or something else that was already involved with the government. And if you'll remember, several months ago, I spoke to you about being in an electorate. And I asked you the question, you didn't really know the answer at that time. Even your attorney couldn't help you. And I'm thankful that wasn't any of you there to be a part of this. For this reason, when you're receiving funds from the government, you cannot do anything serving us without being biased towards it. That's the reason I point this out to you. The 37 of you were not chosen by the people.
Mr. Grayhill, you're almost finished there, Bob?
I'm in the last sentence.
Okay.
37 of you were not chosen by the people, therefore you're all imposters and lack any authority to revise, amend, or create a constitution for Florida, because they would be going against what the Constitution says. They're not delegates without special interest for themselves. Thank y'all so much and have a good
Thank you.
day. And I do appreciate what you're doing, and I'll stay on you to keep you going more and more.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Raack?
Ron Raack, 10580 Southeast 131st Place, Ocklawaha. I'm going to talk about Mrs. Gavin's. Jeremy Ateo and I went out there and spent several hours. We shot some video, we've got some still pics, and he actually has a PowerPoint put together. We were going to try to get it, but we didn't get it here 24 hours in advance. Technology is going to be the downfall here, because as I got to looking at Google Earth, that road used to be flat. From Mrs. Gavin's up to 42, there's probably a good 4-foot incline there now on a road that used to be flat. And you can look at Google Earth and it proves it. As Ms. Smith was pointing out, there's a concrete foundation that was laid in 1982, July 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that, in 1982, that a little shed was put on. It's not raised up, so obviously there was no flooding in 1982. The problem has occurred from then to now. Miss Gavin's, that property, as Bridget pointed out, has been in that generation, in that family for 3 generations. There were other houses built on that property during that time. We got just a ton of information from her, from Miss Gavin's. There has never been a flooding issue there like there is now. The only thing that's changed is the elevation of that road. And as a matter of fact, if you look at Google Earth and you do a street view and you look at the property to the east, I guess it would be, all right, between her property and 25, you will see that is where the actual natural floodplain was. And if you go there and look at those trees that are growing now, that's natural proof that that's actually where the floodplain was. That road not only has a 4-foot incline, but it's actually crowned toward her property and away from that other property. Why would they do such a thing? Why would they do such a thing? They put a retaining pond at the top where 42 and what was 134th or 135th, they put a retaining pond at the very top of the hill. What a ridiculous place to put a pond at the top of a hill. Who knows how much I mean, come on, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. That you don't put a pond at the top of an incline. Because how much water are you going to get there at the top? Very little. And actually, there are some places, probably 45, 50 feet, that they could come down off of the top of the hill and catch some of that water into that pond by just cutting and putting some concrete in there to alleviate a lot of that problem that goes right into the retention pond that's already built there. You know, this is a very, very bad situation for this woman. She has cracks in her home now, big enough you could put your finger in the concrete. And here's the thing, as we looked at all of this, she's got conduit, electrical conduit around the bottom of her home. Now, obviously, that was up to code when that house was built. How could that pass code back then if that was a natural floodplain? They would have never allowed that. If there was a flooding problem back then, they would have never passed that having electric around the bottom of the house.
They didn't even measure the floodplain until the FEMA maps in the 1980s, right? I mean, so in 60-something or early 70s, people built all kinds of different things without any knowledge of an official floodplain.
Well, but the fact of the matter is,
Still had
and
an
Mrs.
engineer,
Gabbins,
though, at some point, right? And
Mrs.
and a
Gabbins will
builder.
tell you that this is a new issue.
Okay.
This is a new issue. And the only thing that's
Well, she told
intruded,
Commissioner Gold.
the only thing that's intruded here, two things that's happened, is the elevation of that road and the fact that it is pointed toward her place, and what's happened to all that property that I'm sure that probably that packing house owns on the other side of the road, which now doesn't get the water that it once got. So basically what has happened is all the water that went to the packing house side over into, and by the way, under the old 301 there, 25 now, there's a culvert there. So that proves that was the natural floodplain for that runoff and where that all went. Y'all need to do what's right here. Y'all owe her a house. And whether this happened on your watch or not doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is the county messed this up. The county owes her a house.
The county messed it up? How? She's in a
Because
low.
because they built the road. Because they built that road and they put that road in there incorrectly. That's their fault, not hers. That didn't flood until that road was changed.
Until it was slagged, you're talking about? When it was a dirt road, it wasn't an issue. When it became a slagged road, it became an issue.
Absolutely. Well, and not just that. It's the way that they built that road. I'm a trucker, man. I know all about how water flows. Okay, I've run the mountains plenty of times, and it runs downhill, and it's going to take the path of least resistance, and the way they designed that road, that path is right into her front yard.
And so you're saying that the only water that she's getting is from the road?
That's right.
That's it?
That's it.
None of the other water that's coming downhill from anywhere else?
It's the way that road is designed. I'm telling you, go look it up on Google Earth and you'll see it for yourself. I'll send you guys a link to
I
it.
think Commissioner Stone brought up a good point. Did Mrs. Gavin ask you to come and represent her?
She knows exactly what we're doing.
I just asked, did she ask
She knows
you?
exactly what we're doing,
to
yes.
come before the board and
She
represent
let
her?
us take pictures inside her home, and because we told her we're going to make people aware of what we're doing.
Okay. So I wanted to
So
know.
she absolutely knows what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Raack. All right, the next person I had signed up was Jimmy Valentine, is that correct?
Good morning. My name is Jimmy Valentine. I reside at 21560 Southeast 145th Lane. It's a Umatilla address, but we're not going to go into that. I do live in Marion County. A couple of issues, concerns. First off, I passed out some pictures earlier of the area where we live. The two-page copy of the pictures reflect an issue that's been going on for many months, probably better than a year of the trash that's collected at a specific house. I want to thank Robin Cuff. Is that right? Huff?
Huff.
Robin Huff. She just called me yesterday morning, so I have new information that I'm still digesting myself, this issue at this particular house is going to be taken care of next week. But what my concern is, we were also under the impression that particular house was going to be demoed. She just told me yesterday again that has changed. It is not on the register to be demoed. My issues being, what you can see now, trust me, there are transients living in there. The front door is only half on, half the bottom of the door is gone. There are